Yeah,
A little bit.
I'm happy with it. The only extra hunt is this random hunt, but by the time players go for it, that'd be very neutral. So let
Yep.
us get underway into game number one between diarouga and Samwise. Diarouga spawning in the left-hand side of the map in the color red, plain as the era of civilization. Diarouga representing the New World challengers. What do we see? Coin crate start for both players. It is an Aero mirror. It is on Adirondacks. Quite a small map. Quite a kind of forward-facing, aggressive matchup here. So expecting lots of action in the second age, third age. Diarouga's opponent spawning into the right-hand side map, playing as the Aero as well, color blue, with Samwise, also another highly skilled player. Samwise picking up a nice early 70 food treasure. Very nice, both players. But it's also scouting with his Black Bear. 80 food to the top right, so 150 food is already in Samwise's kind of vision early on.
Yeah, let's see if Diarouga can actually catch on Samwise Hero here and see where he's going and maybe intercept him to the treasure. Or it looks like he may go for an XP treasure or a wood treasure because he has got some good treasures nearby himself. So, yeah, this definitely seems fine. Samwise's Hero is taking a little bit of a weird stroll here to the north of the map, but looks like he's going for that 80 foot treasure in the end.
It looked like the bear and the Aero Warchief were going to the beach for a little holiday on the sea of Adirondacks, but have now decided to go back on and take this extra 80 food treasure. And Diarouga briefly missed it while walking past, so will not be contesting this treasure, but be very happy to find 75 wood himself.
Diarouga has saved himself his wolf, whereas Samwise, his black bear, has died in the fire of the 80 food treasure he's now going for. So he's got one less scouting unit, which may impact the performance of the rest of H1. In the end, I think both of these players are fairly happy with their treasure so far, and there's still lots to grab. 95 wood and 100 food and the smaller wood treasures as well. So yeah, there's quite a bit to take for both of them, and I think there will not be a great imbalance in who gets what, unless something happens, of course, a big intercept or a steal.
Well, I think we might see an intercept here because Diarouga's only just scouted this 100 food treasure there and then. Samwise has already had vision, so he's moving over the way to take this 100 food. But Diarouga, though, he did scout that 95 wood treasure. So both players be taking down quite a high treasure independently without any treasure steals. But 95 wood here feels quite much nicer than 100 food, especially because both players are now currently aging, and that wood is more easily able to be invested into the trading post, a market in transition. So a nice pickup for Diarouga here. That 100 food from Samwise, not as impactful, but Diarouga's Warchief, quite low HP at the moment.
Yeah, he's gonna take it, and he's gonna be fine, especially when he gets a 100 HP boost when aging up. But I think the biggest impact this may have had is that Samwise is earlier, way before Diarouga. I think at least 20 seconds earlier, which may impact where these players are going to build their first war hut and which trading posts they're going to take. And it looks like Samwise is comfortable enough to take the center trade post, which potentially can give him a total of 2 trading posts when he decides to take the one next to his town center as well. So this is quite an early victory for Samwise in terms of H-up time. And I think we may see that impact the overall performance in the rest of H2.
Yeah, and that was because of Samwise getting that 150 food in early treasures, so advancing up with one less villager. That middle trading post, nice time of placing that down. That early XP pass has given Samwise a shipment on age up, and Samwise is already moving to the middle of the map, and that is what that tempo advantage can give you in a mirror, is total map control. That war hut would be built before Diarouga's is probably even on the map, or, well, okay, even that foundation is even put down. The Aero Warchief probably won't be enough to actually do lots of damage towards the Travois while it's being constructed. So Samwise will have that early initiative, and it could be like a 4 candy shipment from Samwise straight away. He's already at 24 population in the queue, and if that war hut isn't completed by then, we could see a bit of siege damage put down on that war hut before it's constructed.
Yeah, perhaps we will see that. On the other hand, the Verkonia Horsemen are now out, but on Samwise's town center, so they will take a little bit of travel time before reaching Diarouga's base. So I think his war hut will be fine. Diarouga also scouted out the center war hut built by Samwise, so he knows where he is, he knows what's coming. So he should probably be able to prepare for this well, and it looks like he's already done the big button upgrade from his town center for some early tomahawks, so he should be fine repelling this Kenya Horseman shipment.
I'm just having a look at Samwise's techs and units in queue. I don't see anything being researched just yet. Okay, now the Aero Scouting Party is coming in. I was wondering why there was no units being queued at the moment. So both players having 4 Canyers, 5 Aero Tomahawks out in the field, so even military. And Samwise's earlier age up at the moment hasn't really materialized into anything substantial, apart from that map control in the center of the map. And as the game goes on, we're playing on Adirondacks, not a great high hunt map, and diarouga will be very pressured to try and push out and defend this hunt to the south and that single hunt to the north side of his base.
Yep, but so far it's been basically equal. Samwise has not really utilized his center position yet. He's not taking a second trade post yet. So as long as that doesn't happen, Arooga is still fine in his base. And well, he probably has an easier time to push out into Samwise than the other way around, just because he's got his town center nearby. And it's probably easier for him to scout out Samwise as well. So I think he should be happy so far. It looks like Arooga is going for a calf switch. So he has sent the 800 resources from his home city instead of 6 Tomahawks, and he's building a stable with that, and it's going to create some Kenya horsemen. So there's a little bit of a deviation here in these both players, and it looks like Samwise is going purely for the Tomahawk. But in the end, as the game goes on, that stable is going to pay off for Arooga. So Samwise should do well scouting that out, but I don't think it's done that yet. So a little bit of a smaller victory, I think, for Arooga here, placing that stable without being punished for it.
I feel that Diarouga's build order has been really kind of determined by this aggressive war hut placement from Samwise due to the earlier age up. And Samwise gone for 6 Tomahawks, gone for a Kanya Tomahawk composition, while Diarouga's actually stopped training Tomahawks and gone Aena behind this as well as cavalry. I'm a bit worried though, because Tomahawks in the second age, before any upgrades come in, and even when the upgrades do come in even stronger, are the best kind of musketeer style units versus cavalry in hand combat, with a massive 14 times by 3, much stronger than European musketeers, janissaries, ashigarus. So these Kanyas may struggle here, actually. There's lots of Tomahawks here, and it looks like Diarouga's going to have to really make the most use of that Aena, and this engagement's coming in right now. Kanyas facing each other off.
The engagement's coming in just before Samwise has sent his 4th shipment, so these 7 Hyenas are coming in just a little bit late, and it looks like Arooga also already positioned himself quite nicely. On the other hand, his Kenya horsemen not really doing the work they should be on the Hyena, and I think Samwise in the end should be fine here. The Kenya horsemen not really paying off so far.
Yeah, all those Tomahawks went straight into melee combats melee combat Tomahawks do win versus Aenas in melee combat, as well as take down his Kanyas. So seems like quite a simple micro trick from Samwise, and he's slightly ahead of the military population, 20 to 17, but with an army predominantly of Tomahawks, Aenas, another reinforcing batch of Tomahawks, these cavalry will struggle to do anything substantial to Samwise's army, and Sam could just turn around and push into Diarouga's base at the moment.
It looks like he's a little bit reluctant to actually do that. He's chasing the Kenya horseman all the way back to his base with Tomahawks and Hyena. So he has units spread out all over the place. It looks like he doesn't really know where to go to. He's going to the top of his own base for some reason. So Arooga is waiting some time here by just running his cavalry around. Of course, the constant threat of raids is enough to throw Samwise off balance. So for now, Arooga should be fine. But Samwise has gone for a 600 wood shipment himself and is now building his own stable. So it looks like he can do some counter damage against those Kenya horsemen here. And it may pay off for him that there's some timing.
Kenya is now engaging on this middle trading post, trying to get a bit of siege damage. I don't believe that Diarouga will be allowed to stay here long enough to actually get the trading post down. Aena's moving in to try and snipe off some of these Tomahawks, and you can see how he's focused down one Tomahawk, and one Tomahawk nearly getting picked off there from the Aenas. Only 600 HP gone from that trading post, but Samwise there, prodding in with his units, getting the most out of the units he can at that point. Military unit population slightly in the lead for Diarouga at this point, but lots of Kanyas on the field still.
Yeah, and it should be noted that a lot of Diarouga's units are also damaged, so the population may not give the full picture of what's going on in this battle, as well as the fact that Arooga keeps fighting next to a war hut. So in the end, this is going to be a real close fight, and I wouldn't give the edge to Arooga just yet. it's going to be really difficult for him to take on that infantry mass. After all, the Iroquois War Chief will give a bonus to infantry. So this is going to be really tough for diarouga, I think.
It's so tense at the moment. Both players are trying to push in with their long-range infantry. The ANers try and pick up a few units while they can, kind of dance around this trading post, and you can see this whole center area of the map is such a focus point, and especially with this much siege damage done on the trading post already, it feels like diarouga really wants to try and capitalize on this, and he's still keeping his army nearby. I suppose it's also providing cover for diarouga to push out onto the map and gather some extra hunts. Samwise's eco is at the moment very unprotected from any war huts nearby, so maybe a 2-canyon raid could be very beneficial. Aeon's a little bit forward from diarouga, a couple canyons moving in to try and engage but pulling back, and I think Samwise is wanting to push now. Conservative tactics has come in.
Yeah, and it looks like Samwise is now finally ready to push out, so his Kenyan horsemen are probably going to snare down the units of diarouga so he can brawl in there with his infantry mass. He's just looking for a good positioning. The trade post, very low on HP by the way, is blocking off his units, and there's a lot of trees in the way as well, which should give the edge to the ranged units, so the infantry units, but it looks like Samwise still's having some problems really pushing in here. But it looks like a fight is finally happening. The Tomahawks are coming forward. Not really in melee damage just yet, but I think he's going to do fine. And I think Samwise is going to be the victor out of this battle, it looks like.
Yeah, Samwise's War Chief has been up for a little bit longer. Diarouga's War Chief was down. There's only a couple Tomahawks from diarouga here. Nothing to do with Samwise's Kanya mass, and that Kanya mass was just enough to overwhelm diarouga's Aena in his own Kanyas. And a quick game there in game number 1. diarouga resigning, Samwise edging out the mirror in game number 1. Well, that was interesting play from both players. I think Samwise was going for the more standard build there, and especially sending 600 wood crates at that point was just enough to transition to a stable and get those Kanya horsemen out and punish diarouga for his Aena Kanya horseman composition, and diarouga just did not have enough anti-cavalry in his army at that point to really defend. And that final fight, Samwise just pushing those Tomahawks and Kanya horsemen on top of diarouga's mass. Tomahawks into hand, damage versus those Aenas and Kanyas, and we did say before, Tomahawks one of the best anti-cavalry units in the game, and Aenas no slouch versus Tomahawks, but in hand-to-hand combat they kind of lose their specialty of a unit. The Era War Chief from Samwise was up for a longer during that engagement as well, so that was buffing the units, as well as conservative tactics, also given a HP and attack boost for those Tomahawks and ANs of Samwise, and that was just enough to crush diarouga's army and convincingly winning that fight, and even beforehand having a really good fight around about that 7-minute mark. Villager population equal for both players. diarouga trying to go for a 5-0 shipment later on to try and bolster his eco, but also during the second stage missing a few villagers as well, so by the time that 5 villas came in he was probably about down 2 villagers at that point, so some of that macro could be slightly more crisper from diarouga, and all resources gathered. diarouga was ahead due to those 800 crate shipments, but actually that difference was counteracted by the 600 woods, and the eco didn't really matter as much of the fighting, the unit composition, and that final engagement, which went so well into Samwise's favour.
Yeah, I think the most interesting point in the game was actually just after they reached H2, when Samwise had the map control and the center training post. But it was diarouga who was diverting from the standard plan and sent the 800 resources to build some Kenya horsemen instead of going for the infantry mass. And that was an interesting point in the game. And I think that if diarouga had some better positioning and micro, it may have paid off for him more than it did in this game. So I think that's really where the most interesting part of this game laid. And after that, it was really looking better and better for Samwise as time went on. But for now, I'm going to go into the next lobby. It looks like Samwise and diarouga are already in their lobby, but not really agreeing on a matchup just yet. So,
well, luckily for them now, they don't have to agree matchups. Maybe the Civ selection phase can go a little bit faster, because it is a turn for the Hudson Bay Bigs to pick into game number 2, which will be on Lumarco.
Yep. So one of the newer maps, and indeed the Hudson Bay Bigs will have to choose first here. So that would be Samwise, and looks like he's also still deciding on what civilization to play here. Um, so yeah, I'm wondering if Samwise has already thought out his civilization for the second game, because it looks like he's really thinking about what to pick here. So that may imply that he actually was going to choose Iroquois here, but since he, of course, cannot choose it anymore. There are some players who really prepare every map and every matchup, and as soon as the map is picked, they know what civilization to choose. But it looks like Samwise needs some time here to think about what he's gonna do.
Well, the kind of the crowd favourites among the EPL players recently has been the Ottoman as a first pick on Lumarco, and it's a good map for Ottoman, but it's also, as a result of that extra wood, creates a very decent map for other civs like the Iroquois and the Germany. Iro is out the window. diarouga could go for another mirror if he feels comfortable, but Samwise edging the last mirror. diarouga may not want to try and play versus a better macro player. diarouga could go for a different civ here. Maybe Sue or Germany is on the cards, but I eat my own words. He's going to go for the Ottoman mirror. And diarouga has said in recent forums that he does think that the Ottomans are one of the best civs currently right now on the ESOC patch.
Yeah, he even said that you don't have to say GG after a game if your opponent is Ottoman. So if you follow that logic, I expect neither of them to say GG after this one, because Ottoman basically just takes no skill. That is kind of the meme. Of course, their villagers do train automatically, which is one of the reasons that they just take less skill or less clicks or APM than any other civ. So there is some truth to it. Of course, it's also just a circle jerk to joke around the Ottoman civilization.
Excuse me, Edie Holland, what did you just say?
Well, I don't know. People know that, right?
During the last game, we had a nice donation from Kilocrite / Malachite, another $10, taking the total up to 900 big ones. Nice round number. It would be a shame if somebody was to spoil that round number moving forwards.
Yeah, let's see if we can actually reach some the 1,000 mark here today, or the 1,500, of course, in the coming day. Hoping to see some more donations. Of course, they do go towards the next tournament and not towards us.
I wonder if we can reach the $1,000 mark by the end of this series. Like, this is one of the better series of the day. I'm so excited for this, but it's also got to kickstart the rest of the day series, and just give the rest of the casters just that energy and hype moving forward to provide you guys with the most entertainment throughout the day. If you watch on YouTube, well, stick around. You got another 7 series of videos to be uploaded, and on a big day, Fnatic Day, I'll be excited. I think all the viewers in the chat will be excited moving forward. But Samwise having to click into the Ottoman mirror, diarouga choosing the Ottomans into game number 2 to counter Samwise. So another mirror matchup for you in this series.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, I'm now going to click in, and looks like we're in for another game, another mirror. Lumarco is the map, and they're going to play an auto mirror on it. So Samwise and diarouga again facing each other off, not maybe as much in the strategy department, but more in the decisions, a few micro decisions that they're going to make, or some card order ones, which is interesting in its own regard. And of course, this new map, I don't think I've casted on it yet. So this is really, really interesting.
This is interesting spawn. It's a wood crate start, so both players can go for 2 trading posts on this map in Age 1. However, the caveat is there is only 3 trading posts. diarouga is sprinting towards the middle, and so is Samwise, and this is going to be an explorer race in really early in the first stage. diarouga has just stopped slightly to crackshot the native warrior for 45 food, and I think that even that small decision from diarouga has cost him access to this middle trading post, and that's certainly a decision which, yeah, he may be upset, but he's going to go for his own safe defensive TP instead of trying to fight for the middle. But Samwise, fighting for that middle trading post, will be very happy how that's gone. He's already gone for a mosque early on, and I feel that if you've captured your middle trading post, you should be in a good position to go for your second trading post and then drop down the house to make the most out of that 500 wood early wood start.
Yeah, it looks like Daruga immediately after he saw the treasure went for the trade post on the left. So he didn't even try to take the center one. He just gave it away to Samwise. It looks like Samwise is indeed now going to go towards the. No, he's actually not. He's built a mosque himself, so he's not going for the second trade post immediately. It looks like he wants to save it for probably during transition when he is able to chop some wood again. So for now, both players are having the same setup, one mosque and one trade post. But I think in transition or early H2, that will deviate, and we may see a full-on war about the trade wood here. But yeah, looking forward to it. Of course, the trade wood is really far away from the town center, so you either can attack your enemy directly or you can attack the trade wood. But doing both is really hard on this map.
Are you saying trade root or trade wood?
I do say root, but then again, my accent may make it hard to deviate between the two.
That's funny to listen to. Interesting deviation to have noted so far. Diarouga dropping down that early mosque. Just like Samwise as well, but Diarouga has gone for the early millet system, so slightly faster training villagers, and the fact that that tech was researched so early on in this game may see a couple of extra villagers available for Diarouga by the maybe 10, 12, 15 minute mark. However, in the early game, not as impactful. Samwise has more wood stocked up already, and that could be the difference in trying to capture this final trading route. Both explorers are frantically moving their way over to this area of the map, and Samwise is staying nearby this trading post, but whoever actually captures this should have a little bit of advantage in the second age. Will force their other opponents to do something forward thinking to deny the trading post.
Yeah, and it looks like Samwise is ahead in wood count so far. Daruga is not even chopping wood, so it looks like he's happy with the one trading post he has, and may do something a little bit more aggressive instead. Because Samwise is definitely chopping for a second training post and he's going to put it down right now, but Arooga is saving up some food, he's saving up some gold, so it could mean something aggressive, especially since there's now a villager going to the south of the map in between the cliffs and the edge of the map here, and it looks like he's ready to build down a forward base here. So Samwise may have to experience income advantage, but I think Arooga is going to have the speed advantage here and have some military units earlier than Samwise.
We just had another $100 donation from Malasite/Kilo Christ in the chat, so thank you very much from our friend Down Under. He's been a new person to the streams and he's been really enjoying the content, so I'm glad to see that you have been enjoying our commentary between me and Edie, and is also excited for the rest of the day. Hopefully you won't stay up too late into the night, but if you do, make sure you check the vids out at a later point. So massive $100 and a thank you from all of us. So cheers, mate, and have a good day.
Yeah, thanks a lot. You've already filled that bar for a big percentage. So do allow some other people to put their donation in as well. But a big thank you, and you're definitely supporting us in our hosting of tournaments. There was a little mistake I wanted to point out. I think Daruga only just now scouted out this hunt that was right next to his base, but at the very edge of the map. So it looked like he was already going for another hunt here near the cliff, starting to hunt that towards his town center. But he now scouted out the other one as well. So pretty soon he should have two safe hunts in his base. He's now building a barracks in his base as well. So he went back with his forward villager to build a barracks in base. I'm not quite sure because he was afraid of being scouted out or if he's changing his plan. But it looks like both of these players are now going for the same strategy so far. 700 gold first and a barracks in base. So no really big differences between the two players so far.
Well, you may have expected both players to go for the Governor age up 200 coin outpost as well, but both players, exact same build, 400 wood, houses, barracks, and then just gather your resources through the 700 coin to gather age up in. So maybe a slightly greedier way of going to the next stage, as given that you've already got your barracks down and may not need that 700 wood as urgently. Samwise, though, with that 2 TP advantage, will be getting XP income a little bit faster, but look at this Inconhua Minka, 48 siege damage. Actually, is about to take down his trading post all by himself, and that is a big pickup.
Yeah, it looks like Samwise needs those Janissaries early on just to take on this Incan Yuminka, but he doesn't want to sacrifice his age up time, of course. He's already got in the 1,000 gold, he just needs a 1,200 food. So it looks like he's willing to sacrifice that training post for a good age up time, which I think makes sense, but it is a big loss. And it looks like it's about to get his last pass from the trade trophy. And now it's going to go down, giving diarouga the ability to take that trading post. After all, these heroes are here fighting, sword fighting it out in the south of the map. So it will be a while before either player has a chance to take that trade post with their hero. But yeah, at some point it is up for grabs for diarouga here.
These explorers have a fantastic hat. Look at that. That's a huge hat to have. They certainly are very fashionable, these explorers. But they actually fight each other with swords, but kind of waving in the air. They're not even actually hitting each other. They're kind of like having a nice little sword dance. But along come 4 Janissaries to ruin Samwise's explorer's day. And actually, more importantly, diarouga actually managed to get that age up in queue faster than Samwise. And that may have been a direct result of that earlier millet system, not having to chop for that second trading post. And now that it's 1 TP apiece, diarouga may have a slight advantage. But I think Samwise, though, about half a shipment ahead at this point, and we should have another shipment in queue onto the 3rd age. But deciding to go 600 coin as well, is Samwise thinking of a mercenary shipment first off the bat?
Yeah, this is going to be an interesting build from diarouga. It looks like he is earlier out with some military units, but he's also the one to wall off the enemy. So I'm not quite sure if he's actually wanting to go aggressive here or maybe a little bit on the defensive side. If you even see a revolt coming at some point, because he is aging up with the 4 hussars, which may imply that he wants to do some cavalry-based composition. So it could mean the normal Janissary hussar, but it could also mean something in the 4th age. So we have to see what his next shipment is. Also, it should be pointed out that Samwise aged with Ebiskins and has not gone his villager upgrade yet from the mosque. So he does have the wood in his base to actually do that upgrade. But so far, he's not used his mosque yet for any upgrade. So economically wise, he's going to be a little bit behind Arooga the longer this game goes on.
I was about to say, yes, you're right. The Hussar age up for the Ottoman player is usually standard versus most other civilizations, but in this matchup, you've seen both players going to Janissaries. The Abyss gun age up feels that little bit more natural, but I've had a quick look at diarouga's deck. He does have the 8 Hussars in the 4th age. He does have the fort shipments as well. 2 Falconets first card, though, suggesting that a revolt is not necessarily at the forefront of diarouga's mind. Samwise, 600 coin, 1,000 wood. It doesn't look like Samwise wants to be aggressive. And actually sending these Abyss guns out on the map to escort this explorer to build that train post again, but there are Hussars on the field and there's no Janissaries nearby. This Incan Huaminka may actually scout the Abyss guns. He ups his diarouga to see if he actually wants to try and pick these guys off. He won't know where the Janissaries are, but maybe he's just going to leave it and just keep his Hussars healthy.
I think diarouga may have wanted to leave down a Janissary at the trade post site to scout out when the hero would actually go there and build that trade post again. Samwise, of course, sending 1,000 wood, puts him behind in military count for quite a big portion. He doesn't have the 2 Falconets, for example, but getting that trade post and now even a town center up will, of course, give him a big eco boost. So diarouga probably wanted to scout that out, but looks like he's just staying in his base right now, protecting his villagers, hunting, and has no intention of pushing out just yet. That town center is definitely coming up, except if it's going to be scouted out by those hussars. But it looks like so far diarouga is just fine, running around with his cavalry, not really doing anything, not really scouting out what the enemy is doing. But it's fine so far. 1,000 coin is now on the floor for diarouga, so that may imply he's going to build either some cannons or Ebiskins, maybe even send Mamelukes or an H-up. We'll have to see what he goes for, because there's a lot of options on the table for him.
Diarouga has about 700 wood in the bank, queuing up 1 Falconet. Samwise, though, preempting diarouga's Falconets, going 1 Culverin himself. He's already thrown down that town centre to the northeast of the map. diarouga trying to siege that middle trading post. But the 1,000 woods into the 1,000 coin from Samwise. He has the mosque and the market down, but no upgrades on these villages just yet. Gangsword being that first upgrade, only just being researched right now.
Yeah, Gangsword being the first upgrade is really interesting. Of course, It is only for wood, and he's only got 5 villagers on wood, so it's not really a huge eco boost for 100 food. And it makes you wonder if he's really going to chop that much. He's already set 1,000 wood. At some point, he can probably do stagecoach and just set his trade post on wood as well. So I find it interesting that he goes for Gangstal first. It looks like it's the intention to maybe even make another town center or do something, because he's going to need a lot of wood to make it pay off.
Diarouga is finding out the hard way why you don't raid on this map. This map with this middle cliff and the walls to the south side, very hard to get a raid in. Does see the Falconets though, moving right side, but all his Huss, low HP, won't actually scout out the Culverins due to Hussars having a very low line of sight. But big volleys from the Falconets into the middle of the Janissaries. Those Culverins getting the volumes of the Jans, not being useful just yet. And so far, Diarouga's had a good exchange so far. Jans moving forwards, trying to engage the Culverins, but these Culverins, lots of HP and range resist, are going to tank so many Janissaries volleys. Should be able to pick off the Falconets behind it, and the Falconets of Samwise getting good exchanges on the Janissaries. And at the end of the day, both armies are like just taking each other out. This is so interesting.
Yeah, it is really interesting. Those 2 Culverins definitely paid off, but then in the end, I think those Falconets are paying off as well. It looks like even the Culverins are going to go down, so Diarouga is going to end up with the military advantage here at the end of the day. He's going to leave this fight with 10 Janissaries, which is enough to harass his opponent and do some good raiding, some Janissary raiding in Samwise's base. I don't think he's scouted out this yet, otherwise he probably would have gone for that trade post or town center instead. But yeah, Diarouga should be fairly happy with the end of this fight. He now knows that Samwise is going to build some Culverins. He may scout it out next time. And maybe a cavalry switch is in order at this point to try and counter any artillery coming out for Samwise.
There was nearly a really nice raid there from Diarouga. Samwise has now run out of food in his base, and we can see how Diarouga was herding out his 3rd hunt, or actually it was the mid-map 4th hunt, but he's now on both the 4th and 3rd. Samwise having to push out now after running out of food in the base, nearly in the face of 8 veteran Janissaries with the Jan upgrade card. That upgrade card came in at the very start of that battle, and so these very tanky Janissaries, 294 HP, were just enough to overcome the Falconets and Culverins. And at the start of that fight, I thought it was going to be a double down, both players losing the entire army, but Diarouga, with about 8 Jans surviving, sending 5 Abus guns and reinforcing Janissaries, now has the military lead and is now dictating the pace of the game. But he has scouted the town centre from Samwise though.
It looks like Diarouga is comfortable enough to train another Falconet, even though knowing that Samwise is probably making Culverins again. He's got another Culverin on board, so Diarouga is not really scared to go for another Falconet. Probably that's why he's adding some Abus guns as well from his home city. So it looks like Diarouga again is going to push out here. He's got some siege damage. And he feels comfortable enough even when facing another Culverin. So it looks like he's going to go straight for the town center. But of course, a shipment can come out of there along with Minutemen and a flank from the south. So he's really going to be very careful here not to overstep.
5 Abus being popped up from the town centre. Will that Falconet micro? Yes, he does get that micro off. Jan's picking off 1 Abus gun. Artillery piece in another. So only 3 Abus guns remaining. Culverin though unpacking, getting good volleys on that Falconet. That Falconet's not going to be alive much longer, but not before a double kill from the Falconet on this Janissary mass. Minutemen being called, but Abus guns are still relatively healthy, and now you've got 2 Culverins on the field. It feels awkward. These Culverins don't do great damage, and yeah, this Janissaries with 300 HP just tanking the Culverins as if they're nothing.
Yeah, I mean, 40 damage from the Culverins is really nothing when you're facing Abus guns and Janissaries. So, and those Culverins actually probably should have gone back instead of trying to do any damage, because, well, now they're going to be picked off by the Janissaries, and that's a huge loss for Samwise again. It means he either has to rebuild the Culverins or is under a constant threat of more Falconets appearing from Diarouga. So, losing those 2 Culverins was definitely unnecessary, I think. So, a little bit of a mistake there for Samwise.
Yeah, that was 1,000 resources worth of units just instantly being picked off by the Janissaries. And did those Culverins really do 1,000 resources worth of damage? Well, they picked off a Falconet and maybe picked off 1 or 2 Jans at max if we're being very kind. But no, in the end, Diarouga had a great trade, and 1 Abus gun still alive. Managed to get some good value from his Abus guns, but now is up 20 points. Samwise 2 TCs, but the economic population is the same. Like, Sam has lost 1 or 2 vills. Diarouga had that faster training vills for a little bit earlier. This town centre, it just hasn't paid off at the moment. He hasn't got that benefits from it just yet. But needs to finish it off though. He's only got 18 HP, and that's Hero gives the final torch to burn down that town centre.
Yeah, and it looks like indeed Samwise is a little bit ahead in terms of market upgrades. He's got hunting dogs and gang saw, whereas diarouga has got no market upgrades on his villagers yet. He doesn't even have a market yet. And he's a little bit ahead in villager population. Of course, he has had the second town center for a few minutes. But it looks like also he's going to lose a bit more villagers if diarouga scouts him out, and he does. So diarouga is going to be really comfortable with his current position. He's got another falconet out. Samwise doesn't have another culverin out, but a falconet by himself. So I think diarouga is really going to convincingly win this next fight as well, and that may even turn into a victory.
One falconet taking a shot onto diarouga's falconets, but a hussar switch coming in from Samwise. Those Janissaries are a little bit far away from the falconet, but actually moving back to cover. That falconet would likely go down, but can he actually pick off enough hussars to make it worthwhile trades? And I think picking off all 5 hussars here from of Samwise's units is just a nice pickup there for diarouga. The GG comes in behind, and diarouga leveling the series off 1-1 after 2 games.
Yeah, and it looks like that final fight, even the 5 hussars sent from the home city didn't save him. The Janissaries were in melee with both the hussars and the falconets of Samwise. The villagers were caught in the crossfire. He didn't have enough Janissaries to really back up his army. And, there was another falconet coming for Samwise, but really too little, too late. And a convincing win for diarouga there, even when he was still raiding around with 4 of the Janissaries near the beach. So well done by diarouga, giving the score a 1-1 so far. So that's an exciting start for the series.
Yeah, I've just got this screen just centered perfectly over all these units. There's just so many units in different places. The reinforcements from both players, villagers. We got Janissaries in the bottom right of this picture. Falconet reinforcing from the left from Sam. Falconet from the top from diarouga. 5 Huss coming in. It was just at the end a bit mental, but just enough units from diarouga to really force Sam to resign. No military, and then he was starting to lose lots of eco because he had ran out of food in his own base, and with no food, no more Janissary productions, and no way to really protect any falconets and kind of push out. So that was how the game ended. The villager count, both players very, very even, and if anything, may have been a slight bit of housing issue from Samwise. I don't think so, but diarouga getting a vill out before Samwise due to that faster train vill quite a bit earlier than expected, really. About maybe 10 seconds difference before the second age, but that difference just slowly increased, and for that 50 wood investment, or 100, but I think it was 50, it's paid off super, super well. Samwise with that second town centre was put to try and come back, and a few times edged ahead, but for the actual price he paid for it, it didn't pay off. And then you can probably see the military production of diarouga's stronger remass as a result of investing all of the resources into military instead of economy at that point. Was able to remass, and that massive fight in the middle, that was a double down from both players, with diarouga only surviving with about 10 military population afterwards, which were the 8 Jans in the fight, and then probably a reinforcing 2 Jan batch. It was crazy.
Yeah, that was an exciting game, and I'm already in the next lobby as well. We're waiting for you. And looks like we're going to play on to Paro next, which is another one of the newer maps, another one I have not casted yet, which makes me, again, very excited because it's always fun to see a new map in action. It looks like diarouga already picking Aztecs here, and Samwise countering it with Germany. So as soon as diarouga clicks in here, I'm gonna green up, and we will go into the third game in the series. We have a nice flow going on, hope we can keep it for the rest of the day.
I suppose for diarouga, he doesn't need to consult his team because, well, diarouga knows best. It's usually the rest of the teammates in the New World Challenges will take about 5 minutes out in between every match to ask diarouga for advice. But diarouga going straight for the Aztecs. Samwise going Germany on to Paro, and dependent on the map spawn, we'll probably see Aztec playing slightly different. If it's that middle 4 TP trading route, I'm expecting diarouga to go for the Shaman age up and just take middle map control.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, I'm gonna click into the third game here between Samwise and diarouga on the map to Paro. Of course, this is a play all 5, so not a best of 5. So there's no really gonna be a victory of the series. It's just about scoring the most points, winning the most games here. I have to clarify that for those who do not really understand what's going on. And yeah, as you can see, the 2 separate trade routes here. So that makes it interesting. You can either go for a full trade route and try to take both of them and go for the stagecoach, or you can take 2 trading posts close to you, making it easier to defend, but a little bit harder to upgrade and really utilize them well. So that is an interesting choice these players will have to make. And we will see how they figure it out. Looks like it's a coin start, so no early trading posts from either player, unless they do some weird market trading. But yeah, it's just gonna be, well, looks like Samwise is gonna chop coin early on, so he may actually build a market early on and trade his gold for wood, and with that, perhaps build a trade post. Or just do hunting dogs.
I think hunting dogs in a house is just a little bit more safer and a cleaner build in the tournament map. Well, there's loads of hunts in this map. Of course it's good. I assume it is. It's quite hard to see on this orange mini-map, but both players having 3 hunts nearby. Samwise having 2 behind. I'd say diarouga possibly slight advantage, but...
I think it is fine. So, yeah, you can give them the go-ahead that it is fine. To be honest, they shouldn't really have to ask for it, I think, as well, because, well, if you're just saying nothing, then the game is fine, and unless it isn't, we will intercept. But if diarouga wants the confirmation, go ahead.
So the thing for Samwise's early build of the market is the settler wagons they're just easier to get straight onto that silver mine instead of trying to go behind the hunt and herd the hunt, because settler wagons, you know, they're much better for normal villagers. You want these units gathering straight away instead of walking around on herding duties. And Samwise waited for his first villager to come out from the town centre for the herding. Does pick up 100 XP on the right side, and that's going to get that age 1 shipment in a little bit faster, but he's already housed and is frantically throwing down that house with 2 settler wagons, but we'll have that 2 settler wagon shipment in straight away and queuing up another villager. So nice start here for Samwise.
Yeah, on the other hand, diarouga's got 80 food so far and 40 food, so 120 food bonus will help him a lot in aging up, maybe even skipping a villager. Looks like he's now scouting out another 140 food treasures, so he should be really happy with his early trade treasures. Map is good. He's probably unhappy with his coin start, which is saying too bad that the map is good. But yeah,
I was expecting diarouga hoping to say like, oh yeah, you got a slightly better map. The Germany is pretty hunts a little bit out. Might be awkward if you go for the all-in rush there, diarouga. Hint, hint, wink, wink. But yeah, we can't suggest that. But this 140 food treasure, it was originally guided by 4 Jaguars for a much higher food cost, but even still, 140 food, very nice. Diarouga already getting enough food to age up, and has now just clicked up with that food he's received. Earlier clicking up, more time for villagers to transition onto the woods to gather wood in transition. Aging up with the Shaman Politician, this will provide the ASIC player with 2 war huts, and I wouldn't be surprised if we see war huts chucked into this area of the map, maybe on the central part, and just try and play for the map and just try and put the pressure on Germany as much as possible.
Yeah, and it looks like all these tigers and the heroes of diarouga are going to 3 different places. One of them is going to this training post. One is going to the training post in the north, and it looks like diarouga's hero himself is going to go to the one in the south. So it looks like he's scouting out all the trade posts and trying to figure out where Samwise is and what trade post he wants to build, so that diarouga can counter that either with his warhead placement or by directly attacking the hero. So of course, trading posts are being very important to the German civilization. So diarouga has a high priority of scouting out where Samwise is going to build his trade posts, and if he can deny that.
Yeah, Samwise is hanging around this far north TP, and I think that one of the reasons why he wants to do that is putting the training post far away from your town centre. You give the ASIC person the choice. Do you put pressure in the German player's town centre and bet up eco, or do you go push out and deny his XP? But if you go up for the training post, you just buy the German player so much time to send 700 coin, age up. We do see though, gang saw coming from Samwise, lots of wood being chopped by settler wagons, and he's still continuing to chop wood as we move forward. Maybe just enough for steel traps, but now he's continuing on with 150 wooden bank. I believe that Samwise is going to be dropping a barracks in base and going for a pike expo to fence and maybe push out with an X8 expo shipment early on.
Yeah, and it looks like he was actually gonna hurt this hunt towards his town center, but I'm not quite sure if he scouted out the Warhead Travois or just wanted to back off just in case. But he's no longer going for that hunt, and looks like he's going for one to the east of his base instead. So he's a little bit careful with where his villagers are positioned. He has now scouted out the 2 warheads in the center of the map, so he knows what's coming, he knows what's up, he can prepare himself. He's building a little bit of a sim city with his market and a barracks, so it gives a little bit of a security to Samwise. But in the end, there's going to be a strong push coming from Aztecs. It's coming early on as well. diarouga has got the food tracers early on. He's got 2 trading posts, so I think it's going to be hard for Samwise to effectively deal with this. But of course, the preparation is key to this.
1 Puma Spearman in key for diarouga, and I think that Puma Spearman may be going off to the trading post. diarouga has the 2 TP control on the south line, maybe looking to go for stagecoach on the 700 wood first. Samwise has not scouted this double hunt to the southwest of his base. I think Samwise is feeling a little bit pressured by his food count, but there's lots of hunt down here if he wants to push out and control this. Not too far away from his town centre. 5 pikes, first units being produced from Samwise, but they're staying nearby his town centre, waiting for the 5 expos to pop out. Having 44 population as well, I think Samwise maybe sends in another shipment at this point. We'll have to see if that's going to be the 700 woods or the 8 expos, and a 2 Ulan raids, north side, picking a villager, denying the market from diarouga as well. Very nice pickup from Samwise here. And what does diarouga do? Do you just wait until his Ulans go and try and build a market? Do you delete the market and build it in base? He's got 5 Pumas coming back, but this 2 Ulan raid, again, buying so much time for Sam.
Yeah, on the other hand, diarouga did send in a few treasure guardians into Samwise's base, so he now knows what Samwise has and what he's going for. So he knows, okay, he's already producing pikemen, he's already producing crossbowmen, so maybe I can buy just a little bit of time. I've got 2 trading posts and my economy is still fine, so maybe diarouga is not really feeling the pressure to push out right away, and he feels like he has got the time to actually go back with his Puma Spearman instead of pushing into Samwise's base. So I think diarouga is playing well into the hands of Samwise here. I'm meaning that he doesn't really need to push out just yet. I mean, Samwise is not having a great eco. He's just having the 3 settler wagons upgrade, but nothing like 2 settler wagons yet, or 700 coin, or not even a stable up yet. So far, Samwise is not really that comfortable, and diarouga can just sit back and profit from his 2 training posts as well.
Yeah, those 2 training posts upgrades to the stagecoach, that providing a nice dependable and eco for the Aztec player, which can't really be raided unless you take down the actual training posts themselves. A couple of Ulans were getting picked off in Samwise's base, and he had all those Ulans in a single batch, so they were very easy to kind of chase away, losing 1 Ulan for free. And this Ulan's getting caught out in the middle now by his coyote runners. So nice pickup there from diarouga, and 3 Ulans going down away from the rest of your army. It's going to hurt Sam, because that was his only cavalry contingency this early in the game. Due to not having a stable and those Ulans coming in from the age up. Right, 8 crossbows now being sent, another 2 Ulans on the field, and I think Samwise wants to push out and try and break these war huts, especially having this many pikes on the field. And just imagine if you had another 3 or 4 Ulans alive just to snare this army. It would have been so much difference, and I think at the moment diarouga has just got enough mass to kind of push Samwise back.
Yeah, and it looks like diarouga again scouting out with a little bit of his army, some treasure guardians that he converted early on, just to scout out what Samwise is doing. And so far, Samwise is just sticking to his plan. He's got 25 villagers on wood and just 2 of them on food. So it looks like there's really no cavalry switch coming in any way, no age up in the queue. So diarouga doesn't really feel the pressure yet to push out, and he's playing it safe. He's playing it slow. That's usually what diarouga does, and he doesn't want to feel himself get pressured into pushing in. Looks like now finally coming in for another push, but diarouga is really in a good position here. Coyote runners are dealing with the pikemen along with the maces, and now there's a lot of coyote runners left. 17 of them left against 24 crossbowmen, so diarouga is going to clean this up.
Yeah, and so those maces were just focusing down those pikemen from Samwise. Those pikemen were not put into cover mode to try and tank much HP, but also just not enough pikemen to deal with the coyote mass. And it feels like diarouga sent 700 woods, 600 woods, start that mass going, and then double pump units while shipping 10 mace, 9 mace, 6 coyotes behind, and just overwhelm Samwise. And it looks like this is a very tough matchup here for what Samwise had, and diarouga going for another victory. And see Samwise pushing to the south for an extra bit of resources. Had about 500 wood in the bank. May had been waiting to pop some more units. Minutemen were never called in the end because Samwise was not gathering coin at any point, so couldn't afford Minutemen. And just diarouga, I think that was just a build order win from him. And diarouga was 2 shipments ahead. Did have that stagecoach line down to the south. 5 pikes from Samwise could have tried to contest one of these TPs at some point. But once diarouga had that large mass unit, it's just pushed out and crushed the German army outside its base.
Yeah, I think diarouga did a really good job just constantly scouting out Samwise. He knows, okay, there's still no cav switch coming. He's still not close to aging at all. I'm fine as long as Samwise is in H2. So he really taking his time to build a big mass, sending 700 and 600 wood before sending military shipments. So setting up a nice economy before forcing himself to do those military shipments, which of course are a bit more short-term focused. And really, I think out strategizing Samwise here, and the scouting for diarouga is really good. He constantly knew what Samwise was doing. Also, it's a little bit awkward for Samwise to do Minutemen here because you can, of course, trade your food for gold. But the first trade gives you 75 gold, and the second one gives you 74 gold, and that's just one less to gold to actually send Minutemen, which of course costs 150. So that's really awkward, and that's why it's usually not. It's usually smart to keep a little bit of gold in your bank. So that at some point you can trade that food for gold and send Minutemen.
There was a funny comment from Hazarov in the chat. Hazar saying Sam was too busy dealing with 1 HP Caribbean blowgunner, but then lost his 3 Ulans out in the middle for nothing. And then somebody in the chat was saying, "Oh, Sam's pushing out with his infantry mass. Will this work?" And Hazar just instantly is going, "Spoilers, no, it won't." And then he was absolutely right. Samwise's army just got cleaned up. diarouga didn't even make the use of the war dance then for that final fight. But Samwise's follow-up was a bit... I don't think Samwise had a follow-up after that. No military. North trading post went down, so XP was lacking for the German player. And diarouga still had that 2 TPs in the south. And at the end, the ecos were very similar because those extra trading posts just providing that extra income for diarouga. Game number 3 is now on Tuparo. It is the New World Challengers and diarouga to pick here.
Yep, and it looks like diarouga is going to pick civilization on the map Medwala. Always having trouble pronouncing that one. That's one of the older maps, at least one we have seen a lot before in previous tournaments as well. And an interesting one. We do have more C options available to us. So I'm not quite sure if any of these players will go for it, but it is really interesting to at least have that option for you. And hoping it will get utilized at some point.
Oh wait, who's picking?
Yeah, indeed, this is the 4th game, so Samwise has to pick.
Oh, it's the 4th.
He has to pick in the second and he had to pick in the 2nd and the 4th game.
4th.
So indeed, Samwise has to pick.
Yeah, for some reason I thought it was the 3rd map. I was like, oh yes, we got another 3 games to go, but no, it's just 2 games so far remaining. We have been going in this series for around an hour, but I'm hoping for a slightly longer game between these 2 players. Both these players, exciting players, really, really strong. But I suppose the once wise, and probably still is very wise, Zuta used to say that a perfectly played game of Age of Empires 3 should not last any more than 15 minutes. And that's what we've seen so far between these 2 players.
Yeah, of course, if both players make a really... the more mistakes players make, I think the longer a game goes on. So indeed, the highest level of games don't really go into the 30-minute mark unless there's something weird happening with a lot of walls and sea or anything that drags the game out. But indeed, those high-level, fast-paced matches are basically 15 minutes max. But yeah, there are definitely the outliers from time to time.
What do you think diarouga's going to pick here? Samwise has gone for the French Civ locked on Wad Malal, and it's one of those maps where you have to pump units out into the second age as the French civilization to defend yourself, but then break out and push more resources. And diarouga, again, clicking in as the Aztecs, and we've seen diarouga play Aztecs many times, and many players, including Soldier, also favouring the Aztecs on this map. And I think diarouga, again, to War Hut age up with the Shaman, controlling middle TP line, and then just trying to go for a timing push as soon as Samwise wants to push out with his Vils.
Yeah, it looks like, again, he's going to go for the Aztecs. So after the third game, you have a Civ reset, and you can pick every civilization again. So in the third and the fourth game, he's going to pick Aztecs. And I'm clicking into this game as well. The fourth game between Samwise and diarouga. And it's going to be a French versus Aztecs. So no more mirrors from now on. It looks like the counter picking system really forces that out most of the time. So that is really interesting. So yeah, French versus Aztecs. As you said, both of these players probably want to pump out units in a second age. Of course, getting the center of the map and securing that trade post is really important here. And it's not like you can hurt 3 or 4 hunts into your base. So map control is really important here.
Wood and food crit starts for both players. The Aztec player having 300 wood in base. Can go for the market, can go for the house, can go for the fire pit as well. Samwise, though, likely to push out for a trading post, and that could actually hamper diarouga's efforts to go for the full 3 TP control in the middle of the map with his 2 War Hut age up.
Yeah, it looks like immediately going to go for 140 coin treasure here, so Aztecs should be fairly happy with this start. May even go for a market early on to actually utilize that coin. Of course, without a market, you can't really do anything with coin in the first age. On the other hand, Samwise is scouting around with his canoe. It looks like he's going to go with his scout into his canoe so that he can use his explorer to find treasures and use his scout for what it's good for, and that is scouting. So that is definitely clever. Going to pick up those cows, and well, if he's fast and smart, he may even go for the cows in the north of the map that, well, originally belonged to diarouga. Daruga abusing his canoe here as well. Gonna shoot 2 black bears into oblivion to take a Cherokee rifleman. So really nice job by Daruga using that canoe to the best of its abilities for laming treasures. Just hoping he can pick it up before Samwise actually scouts it out.
Samwise is looking alongside his own coast for similar treasure stealing opportunities. He's not trying to take on his pistoleros. That's suicide. But he does have longer range than these pistoleros. Look at this micro. He's going to pull these pistoleros towards the sea. One shot does come off. He needs to back off a little bit, though, to try and get in a nice maximum range. Really close. Nice idea from Samwise, but not perfectly executed. But is now just realising his canoe is just better spent on the fishing, because there's just so many outlaws here to try and pick off in the age 1 for the canoe.
Yeah, ranged units are really hard to back out that way. Basically, they just turn around if they think you're out of range, whereas these bears just try to stay on the shore and try to take you out, even when they have no chance of ever reaching you. So, indeed, the melee treasure guardians are a little bit easier to take that away. And it looks like Samwise has given up and went fishing instead. There may be a little bit of fight about Hessa's computer here. The 100 wood treasure is here next to the trade post. Both players have scouted it out, and I think Daruga wants to go for it as soon as Samwise's hero is far away enough, and he's still got his Cherokee rifleman, so he should be fine taking that treasure at some point.
Samwise was running away. He was nearly being snared by the Aztec explorer. If things went really south for Samwise, he could escape into his canoe and just break the snare and then drop the explorer off back at the town centre for safety, but diarouga still with that Cherokee rifleman, putting some good pressure in age 1, and now is pushing out the map, and we have a bit of a nice little pond here. I wonder if you can drop a dock and make a monitor here from the French player. You see this?
Yeah, I do see it. It's really interesting. I've not seen that being spawned before, but yeah, I think it is probably useless. Maybe fits 1 canoe, but that is unfortunately not a shipment for this civilization. But that's an interesting spawn for sure. I like that it gives a little bit of variety because the rest of the center of the map is just so wide that it almost hurts my eyes at some point. So a little bit of a pond there. That is interesting.
So diarouga sitting on a nice trading post here, currently chopping wood for a trading post himself, looking to drop that down. And if he's spending wood on a trading post, then that just means diarouga is aging up with the shaman once again. 2 war huts from diarouga, plus not having to actually build them with your villagers. Certainly a very strong age up position from the Aztecs at the moment. And I'm expecting diarouga to go for the same build, to be honest. That is 700 wood, 600 wood, 10, 9 mace, and then either coyotes or puma to kind of round out your composition at that point.
Yeah, and it looks like Samwise is now going to the south of the map to take another treasure with his canoe and his hero. But so far, nobody has taken the time to take the poor cows that are in the north of the map stuck on that island. So that is an interesting thing that neither of these players seem to care about that. Looks like Arooga again is going to go for the same safe build as last time, indeed. 2 war huts and then taking the trading post. So probably again we will see 700 wood and 600 wood first before military shipments, basically giving him the ability to get his eco up, do some market upgrades as well, and set up a nice big wood boost before actually sending military units. So this is going to be interesting, and I think Samwise should learn from the mistakes he made last game and see what he can do better this time. He is already scouting out diarougas, his war huts, with scout in stealth. So he does have a little bit of information about where diarouga is heading with his war huts. So that is an early victory for Samwise. Getting the right information in before the fight actually starts.
Diarouga's deck, no water dance, no Talok canoes in the 3rd or 4th age. Diarouga wants to play us purely on the land. Samwise does have double shipments in the 2nd and 3rd age, as well as 3 crates as well, 1k wood, food, and the coin. So some specialized decks for this map here. Diarouga, 2 war huts right next to each other on top of his train post he controls. Will need to go for 5 pumas first, and you can see his waypoint already set to the west hand side of the map even before it's built. Let's look into units in queue. I'm expecting 1 puma spearman from Diarouga to be queued up nice and early, especially because he's been mining some coin back at base, and 6 pumas in queue, a double batch of pumas it looks like from both war huts.
Yeah, it looks like he immediately wants to take down that trade post. Maybe at one point he's even going to upgrade his own trade post. So far, no upgrade in queue. But yeah, definitely looks like he wants to capitalize on the fact that he's got 2 war huts, which means a total map control of the center of the map until Samwise can actually break those 2 war huts, which will be very late in H2. So yeah, using that to actually take control of the trade route, which is of course one of the best economical options he has at his disposal. On the other hand, Samwise using his mobility here, getting out hussars early on, as French usually wants to, and see if he can do some scouting or raiding. And I think he can take a villager if he reacts quickly now.
And it looks like Diarouga's protecting the Zills by ringing the town bell. Like every single Vil is just ran straight to the town centre. I'm surprised Diarouga went double bike production as well as 6 pumas to start off with, 10 mace following off afterwards. But you got lots of pikes on the trading post, lots of pikes in the middle map just trying to find any villagers, explorers, maybe catch a few hussars raiding. But these hussars causing significant eco disruption for Diarouga back at base. Looks like Diarouga's only sent a few pikes home to defend at this point, and buying Samwise enough time for 700 coin. Maybe Samwise may be able to get the age up in, but double barracks here and 2 muskets in queue suggests that Samwise wants to play 2nd age and break out with a huss push.
Yeah, it looks like Diarouga is having a little bit of a harder time than last game of scouting out what Samwise is doing. He's not really sending in any units. Got no treasure guardians to see what he's being sent. So Diarouga is a little bit in the dark here, where Samwise has got his scout.
Coyote pop snared the hussars underneath the 2 war huts. Pumas to the north, maces to the south. All those hussars are going down. I was about to say Samwise had a really nice play with where his native scout was. He could see maces were approaching his musketeers, so he pulled his musketeers back to safety. But while controlling the musketeers, those hussars went straight into the base of the Aztec player instead of trying to path around the coast or maybe to the far west of the map and try and get in a nice safer avenue to the base. But Diarouga, 3 TP stagecoach, 3 unit shipments sent back to back, now pushing out with the military advantage and arguably the better eco as well. picking off Musketeers really easily with these Mace Holtons. Maces having a double multiplier versus Musketeers. A couple of Hussars trying to come out here and trying to engage with the Aztec army, but it's just too many spearmen here for the Hussars to really engage, and diarouga still has that 9 mace shipments in reserve, and I'm expecting the 9 maces to pop out. A next card from diarouga has 2 pikemen in queue to protect.
Yeah, and again, I think Samwise is not really in the spot that he wants to be in. As the French player, he probably wants to go to the third age at some point. Right now, he's even gathering from berries instead of hunts. So, yeah, diarouga again taking his time, using his map control to force a fight when he wants to, and when he's got the best positioning and the best army he can have. And I think with this 9 Mason Halton shipment, it's probably go time for him. So I think we'll see a fight fairly soon here. Samwise already used his Minuteman now, so maybe even Samwise is going to force the fight to make use of his Minuteman.
This unit control from diarouga has been very impressive to watch. You can see that it's tempting to push in when you have the military advantage, but actually he has Mace Holtons. They outranged the Musketeers, and he's just happily just poking in, picking units off here and there. And then retreating when he realizes that a big engagement may happen. And he's just happy to take this engagement further, extends the game into the second age, which the French player does not want to be. Aztec player does want to be, and he does have that 3 TP, so stronger eco, more military mass, probably an easier time remassing behind this, and still can send shipments like Coyote Combat, as well as, yeah, Coyote Combat will maybe a villager shipment here just to try and further boost his eco, or the 3 warrior priests. I don't think diarouga has many warrior priests on his fire pit at the moment, as we haven't seen war dance come out from diarouga in this game or the last game yet. Cover mode hero to try and tank. Mace is moving in and will pick up even more musketeers, and he's just going to pick up 2 or 3 and back out.
Yeah, and it looks like, again, the Puma Spearmen, it may have gone a little bit overboard with them. 26 Puma Spearmen are really going to make a short matter of those Hussars. But then again, does he have enough anti-infantry to take this on? I think he has. The Puma Spearmen can also snare the crossbowmen and the Musketeers. And it looks like diarouga is having a good fight here. Mr. Houghton's in the back, still doing a lot of damage. A big mass of Puma Spearmen coming in from the barrage. Another 8 are being added. And I think diarouga is really going to be happy with this fight and how it evolved into a victory. So GG.
That was really impressive from diarouga, and the one thing I just want to note at the end there, notice how diarouga had a kind of like a skirm pike composition with the Mace Holtons and the Puma Spearmans. He jams those Puma Spearmans in to kind of hold down the Musketeer mass and the cavalry, and he knew that as a result, those infantry and hussars would be focusing down those Puma Spearmen to kind of break that Puma line, so that the cavalry can then go onto the Mace Holtons. But diarouga, he anticipated that and went for a double batch of Puma Spearmen beforehand, instead of thinking, oh, hang on a minute, I've got enough Pumas to kind of scare away the hussars, let's just mass Mace Holtons here. So the reinforcing Puma Spearmen here was just enough to be a very safe play, because otherwise it's like 5 or 6 Pumas, 20 mace, and another reinforcing batch of hussars. Just imagine if 5 more musketeers came out. Samwise could have nearly had that competition to clean up or put significant damage on the Aztec army, but those reinforcing pikemen just was such a safe play from diarouga, and really smart as well. Aztecs, damn, they're feeling really strong at the moment. Map control, unit production as well, pop space from the 700 woods. You don't have to invest into war huts, you can just go into mass houses, and just XP from the warrior priest as well as all these trading route lines as well. But diarouga, that mass just pushing in, knowing that the French player has to, if he goes to the fortress age, is just going to get right clicked and cleaned up. Goes Expo Pike, well, you can just beat it with Puma and Mace. Goes Musketeer Hussars, try and kite with the Mace Holtons. I think diarouga just had the Civ matchup here, the map advantage, and was just basically playing with Samwise here. Very good play from diarouga to take it 3-1.
Yeah, it really reminded me of last game as well, where just diarouga had the complete control of the pace of the game, it seemed like. Looking at the Twitch chat, seems like some players are suggesting that Samwise should have gone to the third age, even when it would have been a scary choice to make. But it looks like people do think that should have been a better option. At least that's what Kaiser Klein is suggesting for a sample. So yeah, it looks like there's a little bit of a discussion going on about whether staying H2 was even the correct call here. But yeah, then again, it's just so hard to figure out when is the correct time to push out, because Daruga constantly had a big military presence close to his town center. So it would have been really difficult regardless.
Yeah, in the early game, his military mass was sustained from military shipments. Towards the end, though, he had a very good eco to train. Looking at all resources, the French player had much more resources, but towards the end, the actual gradients of both players' resource income was relatively similar. So at that point, they had the same remass potential, but the Aztec units, stronger units, with War Dance available if he wanted to. Samwise was stuck in that second age, and I don't think once Samwise was training batches of 10 musketeers, he was committed to the second age. But musketeers picked off by those Mace Sultans from the good control that Daruga had, and looking at military kill-death ratio, 74 military units for Daruga, 63 kills, but those kills were musketeers, hussars, minutemen, maybe a couple of CDBs. There were some much more substantial units than Mace Sultans and a few Pumas, which Daruga had lost.
Yep, we're already in the next lobby. Samwise is asking, is Harrison okay? So you better get yourself over here. And we go into the 5th game, which will be the last game of this series. So it's gone fairly quickly. But then again, we do have a packed schedule for today. The next series will be La Casted versus Geronimo, which will be casted by Riot. So, and that is scheduled in 45 minutes. So we do have a little bit of time for this final game. Iowa games can take a little bit longer. I do remember some games here, Germany Mirrors or German Ottoman as well, which went all the way into the 4th age with mercenary fights and big batches of war wagons running around the map. So yeah, maybe we will see a little bit of a longer game, but regardless, after this we will have more series to come. So
you are dreaming, though. I'm expecting very standard play from Arooga. Probably a tower FF to the middle of the map, or in-base tower, go for train posts to kind of, or get the eco, but also just stall the German player if he wanted to try and push out for that TP line, and then pushing in the Fortress Age with Jan, Falk, maybe 5 Hussars to start that cavalry mass, but then we may see a Spahi or a Mameluke shipment to reinforce. It's been Ottoman favoured in terms of the results so far in this EPL2. I do think that the German player has options in his matchup, and going for a greedy FF himself, or just a straight naked FF with the 3 settler wagons, 700 wood, should provide the German player enough eco to spam out war wagons in the 3rd age and Black Riders to defend from what Ottoman wants to do. But who knows, maybe Diarouga will try to make the most of this middle TP spawning map. Native TPs, we could see an advanced trading card play from Diarouga. He might have thought this matchup out at the moment. He does suggest the Ottomans are one of the strongest civs, so maybe Diarouga has got many strategies planned, and to cement that every time he brings out the Ottoman, he's feeling comfortable picking up the win.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, gonna click into the 5th game between Samwise and Daruga here. Germany versus Ottoman. And yeah, we were waiting for you for a few minutes because these players picked their civilizations immediately. Within seconds, Daruga noticed, okay, I have to pick. Well, I'm gonna go for Ottoman. And Samwise immediately responded with the German civilization. So it looks like very little thought was given to it right now. And most of the thought was given to it earlier on. It looks like they have prepared for this matchup, and it looks like we're ready to go into this game. It is going to be a wood start, so 4 wood crates for the Ottoman player and 2 for the German player, which may give some more trade post usage for both of them.
We do see symmetrical spawns of both players. The starting 2 hunts or 3 hunts, slightly different for both players, but like it's all 3 of these hunts are in herdable distance. German needs to remember that these mines are only tin mines, 1,500 coin in each of these mines, so Germany can chew up these coins and be pushing out on the map for their resources slightly earlier than they hoped. We see 4 hunts right in the middle on this train route line, so I don't think any of those hunts will be gathered up. Too risky to send your villagers out in the middle on such an aggressive matchup that is the German versus the Ottomans.
Yeah, it looks like Daruga immediately going for a trade post here, not in the center of the map. He may have the intention to take that later on, or he just wants the first pass of the trade trova. And Germany should be happy as well, getting a 70-foot uh, treasure in very early on, which will help him stay up with his villager production while he's chopping wood. So that actually gives him the ability to safely chop 100 wood to build a house and a trading post. So that food treasure definitely going to help him early on.
Look at this, diarouga has done his homework. He knows exactly which trading post will give you that first experience pass, and that is the trading post on the far left of the map. Diarouga's line of sight is just a straight beeline, as straight as possible to that trading post. Gets that trading post up before the German player does. Germany has a 200 wood crate start, but he stopped off for a 70 food treasure and couldn't get that TP down where he wanted to. Now is putting that trading post in the middle of the map, but we'll be getting that XP much later. It's much easier for diarouga to try and contest this middle trading post as well. And diarouga's got a shipment on the way already. Germany's still waiting for that first XP pass, and it's already up to about 1 minute 50. Looks like Samwise is going to have his first shipment just being sent due to XP gathered from the building XP from the house, the training post, and the kill XP from those 2 black bears, but no experience income from that training post as of yet so far. And diarouga, it feels like he's got the advantage so far in early age 1.
Yeah, of course, Daruga is having his first shipment in a lot earlier than the German player. On the other hand, Germany is always on a handicap when it comes to shipment speed because they get their shipments in slower than other European civilizations. So that difference is to be expected here, but definitely a nice start by Daruga, clicking in at 20 before 2030. So that's going to be a good age up time for the Ottoman player. And right now it's when the game gets interesting and when we can speculate about what he's going to do. If you take a look at text being researched, he's going to go up with the governor. So that is the 400 wood. So no early tower, it looks like. And well,
the governor is the coin and outpost.
Oh, that is the coin and outpost. Sorry, it was not the quartermaster, so not the wood crates, but indeed the early tower. I was mixing those things up. So yeah, an early tower, and perhaps gonna go for the center of the map, or maybe for a flank, or just staying it in his base to safely age up to the third age and not get raided by Uhlans.
Diarouga has picked up a war dog from one of the treasures. I think this war dog, it was tasked to sit on this trading post, the only open TP slot remaining, but it's actually going to help and try and pick up this 100 food treasure guarded by 2 outlaws. Is there no crack shot available from Diarouga? He's misclicked. He's losing HP fast from this other outlaw, doing range damage at this point. Okay, now picking up now. So managing to pick up that unit, but losing lots of HP. I'm not too sure Diarouga can actually defend this remaining trading post if the German player wanted to get it. He does have that war dog, but that Ottoman HP now looking pretty small on that explorer.
Yeah, on the other hand, he will get another 100 HP boost when he ages up in a few seconds. So as long as he scouts out Samwise's explorer with his dog, I think he should be fine. But we'll have to see if he even goes for another trading post. Of course, he will need to send 700 wood to do that. And his first shipment may actually be 700 coin instead. So I'm not even quite sure if he's going to have the wood to build another trade post here. It also looks like Samwise has no interest in taking that trading post. He's walking towards the middle of the map. He's got a lot of wood in his bank, even doing gang saw, but that may actually indicate more something like crossbow and pike for him than actually going for a trade post boom. Of course, gang saw is for longer term wood chopping.
This is a bit of a BM move from Diarouga. Outpost right on top of that trading post. You could have put it just to the side to try and keep it out of line of sight that a little bit longer. I don't really see the outright advantage of putting it right adjacent to another of your enemy's buildings already, but outpost is up. Already losing 400 HP due to that Explorer siege in transition. That War Dog coming in fast to try and pick up this Explorer. But, you know, Samwise, Diarouga's laid down the gauntlet. He's telling Samwise what his intention is with the Governor age up. Diarouga already up to that, already clicked in to the Fortress age up behind us. Samwise with a barracks on the floor, steel traps being researched, even more wood being chopped from the settler wagons with gang saw. We see the 3 settler wagon first shipment from Samwise, but he's training pikes at this point. I'm not too sure he will be able to defend Diarouga's Ottoman fast fortress push.
Yeah, diarouga already on his way to the third age, and only now Samwise is coming out with his Yulans. But as you can see in diarouga's base, he's well defended. He's got his barracks up in a nice line of sight in front of his town center. His hunts are under his town center, building houses to protect his villagers. So, yeah, I don't think he's going to lose villagers here. I don't think he's going to be delayed at all. So it's just going to be a matter of what's going to happen in the third age for diarouga. Samwise clearly has the intention to stay in the second age a little bit longer at least. Gonna go for 3 settler wagons first to boost his eco. And gonna go for 5 pikemen. And I think as soon as he's got 10 pikemen, he will push out into the tower. Because with 10 pikemen, you can reliably get it down. And probably before a first shipment from diarouga arrives. So that is gonna be important.
I think Diarouga has just sent a shipment. He's still on 0 shipments, and a good shipment at this point would be 5 Jans to this outpost, because Janissary is very strong versus Pikeman, and should be enough to deal with the Ulans, especially if he gets a really good pop from this. Okay, you see how he's moving this waypoint now, micro in the age up. So he's going to pop the 5 Jans with the 4 Hussars on the age up. There should be a nice power spike here from Diarouga to keep his outpost alive that little bit longer. Yeah, 5 Jans popping out, and he's rehearsed this. He's timed that military shipment for the 5 Jans with the Ottoman age up here. Jan's coming out. Ulan's engaged with Hussars, but 4 versus 2. Nice pickup. Ottoman Explorer revived with more HP, and enough Janissaries here to protect that outpost. That outpost with 80 HP remaining. Goodbye to Samwise's training post if he wants to take that down first, or I think Diarouga's going to push in another 5 pikes from Samwise. He's still in the second age, and Diarouga's in the next age. Another shipment coming in from Diarouga. He has all his Jans out in the field. No veterancy just yet, but even an 8 Jan shipment here could be nice from Diarouga, and a little safer than 2 Falconets, but 5 posts from Samwise, not even 700 coin just yet. Samwise throwing down a stable. He's unsure. Does he commit to the age up now? And I think he even realizes he's in a tough situation and calls the GG. So,
wow.
Well played from Diarouga, and what a great timing apart from this player. And this game, it just highlights the preparation, the map knowledge, and getting your strategy sorted out. He times that 5 Jan and 4 Hussar age up perfectly, and just counters that 10 pike semi-FF. Samwise having an extra 5 pikes and 5 crossbows when he really didn't need it. But Diarouga, I think, was in a commanding position at that point, and Samwise realizing carrying on, it'd be very difficult for him. He could have carried on and tried to go for the victory there, but also I fully understand Samwise calling the GG at that point, because it felt like Samwise was behind by quite a bit at that point.
Yep, and I think this is a good example of practice paying off. And Diarouga is one that is known to practice a lot. Every matchup and every map, he wants to analyze his opponent's recordings as well. So I think Diarouga has practiced a lot. The timing on those shipment and that age up was just perfect. Getting out the Janissaries a little bit before the Hussars, so your Hussars wouldn't get caught by the pikemen and the Yulan and get lost. It was just a real good play by Diarouga. And apart from Samwise, who was anticipating the forward tower and made pikemen to deal with it, I'm not quite sure what Samwise would have done here. I mean, even if he had killed the tower, I think Diarouga would have been in a fine spot. So I'm interested to hear what people have to say about this matchup and the path that Samwise chose to follow, because I think even when taking down that tower, it would have been hard for Samwise to climb out of the second age and face Diarouga's army here.
Just look at the military unit population. That's the story. Age is up from 0 military population instantly up to 18, and Samwise's military just falls over. Like the strategy I was talking about earlier on, just go for the greedy FF with 3 settler wagon, 2 settler wagon, or just a standard FF play, 3 settler wagon, 700 wood, no units trained, get up to the third age, and then mass war wagon or black riders. Sam tried to go for the pikemen, but investing wood into the barracks, 15 pikes, 5 bows, that is 600 wood worth of investment, and Sam wasn't even on the way to the fortress age at that point, and just wouldn't have the mass to defend from a 8 Jan, 2 Falk. Diarouga could just stop unit production, go on to food, and spam and send out 5 spare heaper hinds, and that tower's so close to being picked off. I think Sam could have picked the tower off himself just to try and delay a 2 Falconet shipment, but 80 HP, that's so close.
Yep, it was really close, but in the end, Diarouga, I think, basically choosing the better strategy here. I'm not quite sure what Samwise wanted to do with this, and yeah, this was a really, really tough one for him. But that does conclude this first series of the day, diarouga versus Samwise.